Apprehend God in all things, for God is in all things. Every single creature is filled with God and is a book about God. Amen. So what a beautiful day to baptize William. This is great. Glad you guys are here. So for what I want to do is take a look at the Philippians reading today. I spent the whole week kind of reflecting on it. So what this sermon is going to be is that reflection. We'll leave that gospel for somebody else, okay? Somebody else can do that. So my role in this whole reflection thing is going to be the part of Paul, the guy who wrote that letter, okay? Your part is going to be the people receiving that letter. Okay? Is that a deal? That's a deal. Okay, that's what we're going to do. So, I grew up in the Episcopal Church, for those of you who don't know that. I was baptized, confirmed, married, ordained. I'm not sure what else I could do. And there's a name for this. There's a name for people like me. Do you know what it is? Yeah, Cradle Episcopalian. Isn't that impressive? Cradle Episcopalian, wow. Yeah, so the thing is where I grew up, not many people knew what an Episcopalian was and sure didn't know what the Episcopal Church was. Had no idea. But despite that, we were so few people knew who we were, as a kid I was taught that as soon as people found out about us, they would see the error of their ways and they would rush to the Episcopal Church because we had it right. We are the ones. We had that church thing right. You know, it's not like we hated people from other churches or religion, just felt sorry for them. Right? Because they just didn't know what we knew. They just didn't know what we knew. Plus, they had ugly churches. Right? Just not as pretty as this, right? I mean, this is beautiful. How can you go to ugly church? So with all this in mind, I grew up thinking, I knew all about church. I knew all about religion. I knew all about God. I knew everything. It's great to know everything at 10. And as you can imagine, this made me judgmental toward other people who didn't know what I knew or the way I knew it. And then I went to seminary. And in seminary, I realized how much I didn't know. How much I didn't know. More than this, really, I realized that if I stay open and if I stay curious about life, then God would stretch me, stretch my knowing, stretch my believing, and help me to find something new, something more, something deeper. So there I am in seminary, and in seminary I learned lots of religious stuff. Too much stuff to tell you in one meeting here. And one of the most eye-opening things that I learned was how many different types of Episcopal churches there are. Did you know there's not just one type of Episcopal church? Can you believe that? There's lots of types of Episcopal churches. While I was in seminary, I went to an Episcopal church that was meeting in a gymnasium because they outgrew their initial church and had to wait for another one to get built. So I went into this place, Church of the Apostles, and lots of people raised their hands throughout the whole service. Freaked me out. You know, I wasn't raised with that. What the heck is that? And then, so during the prayers of the people, you know, we do the prayers of the people, very orderly here, nice prayers, wonderful things. There, what they did was everybody broke into groups of about 4 to 6 people. And we shared prayers. And a lot of them were personal. What? Right? What in the world? And I'll tell you this, and I mean this. This is the first time I ever heard somebody speak in tongues in an Episcopal church. And then that's one end of the spectrum. And then on the other end of the spectrum, I went to churches that they used so much incense it felt like it was oozing out of the pores of the building. You know what I mean? You just scratched any surface and you could smell incense. And the priest sang everything. Good morning to you. You know, it's like, and also with you. Yeah, right. It's like, the whole thing was sung, everything. And then there was just so much space for silence, lots and lots of room for silence. So I went to that Episcopal church too. So there were all these Episcopal churches in between those two extremes. And so what I began to realize was there isn't one way to be a church. There isn't one church. There isn't one right church. There's just the church that's right for me. Right? But when I found the church that was right for me, then that whole process starts all over again. I know all about church. I know all about religion. I knew all about God. I know all about everything. I fall into that trap over and over and over again. Still to this day, fall into it all the time. Because you know why? I love being right. I love it. There's nothing quite like it. And when you add God into the mix, and I'm right about God, oh my God. Power, right? So I fall into that trap. And here's an added piece as to why I fall into that trap. Do you know what degree we get when we graduate from seminary? Do you know the degree? Master of Divinity. What? I am a master of divinity. We are masters of divinity. Oh my gosh. We know everything. We masters of divinity. Talk about an arrogant degree. Yeah, we know everything. Because it's just so seductive and so easy for me to think, I know everything. And if everybody would just fall into line with what I know, God, what a world. Right? Yeah, thank you for laughing at that. You see, even he knows that is. But the truth is this. Here's the truth. Every time I get arrogant and I think I know everything, then something happens in my life to show me what I don't know. Something humbles me, reminds me that I'm human. It's as if life or God or however you want to put it says to me, says to all of us, and says especially to William today, stay open. Stay curious. Stay humble about life. And you'll be surprised. And that surprise will teach you something that you never would have known if you hadn't stayed open. Amen.